I want to take you on a tour of my 1965 Triumph Bonneville. This Bonneville has been in the family since 1967, when my father purchased it when we lived up in Washington State. And for me, I was only 3 years old. I grew up riding on this motorcycle, well, at least until I was 9. My father would take us on rides whenever my parents would go on a trip outside of town or something short, 20-30 miles. We would all take turns riding on it, and it was my favorite thing to do in the world. This bike has a lot of sentimental value to me. People have asked me if it's for sale, and I tell them no, because they can't afford it, because you'd be buying memories more than a bike. My father was in Vietnam, and when he was the last 6 months of Vietnam, my mother loaned the bike to somebody, and they took the bike and they apparently stole it. Actually, you can tell from the back fender it's painted black. Apparently he painted the bike black with parts of it and put it up on a street corner and tried to sell it. My father was hunting them down and came across it. Anyway, some words were exchanged and he got the bike back, cleaned it up the best he could. In the early 70s, we were transferred to Kansas, and he rode it all through Kansas until about 1972 he seized the transmission. And so it sat from 1972 to 2007. Torn apart, the heads off, carburetors dangling, and just looking like a piece of art. From there it went from Kansas to Texas, from Texas to Washington, from Washington to Utah, and from Utah to Alaska. And there in 2007 I had an older gentleman who belonged to my church. He says, "Hey, let's get it running." So I asked him, I said, "I don't want it completely restored, I don't want it repainted or anything, I want it to stay the way that I've always seen it." And he said, "No problem." So he did a complete strip down to the frame, took it all apart, and rebuilt it. And so he gave it back to me in 2009 or 2010. It took about 3 years, and since then I've been enjoying it. Now, one thing that makes this bike a little bit more special to me is, let me show this to you, it is a T120SR. And technically there was no SR version made, and you can see the stamp is a little different. So we don't know who stamped it, where it was stamped. There's all kinds of rumors out there, stories, you can jump on the internet, look it up, but it is clearly stamped frame and on the engine. I had a gentleman contact me in England and said he only knows of a few that exists, and so he was interested, and again I said it's not for sale, or if it is, he wouldn't be able to afford it. But let's fire it up and let you listen to this beast run. So we'll go ahead and prime the carbs. Turn the fuel on a little earlier, flip the key, and let's fire it up. have it. It's my 1965 Triumph Bonneville T120SR. Thanks for watching.